Thank you, Artis, and hello, everyone. Thank you for invitation and this brief introduction. But before I introduce what we do at Roibox and what is my background, I would like to say that thank you for making this event happen. I think we need more of these success stories and sharing of these stories that could, fuel future founders and existing founders. And also, huge thank you to Raimonds for building BADideas, because I am not the co-founder of BADideas, but I'm a member. And what he just told is really true. A lot of amazing investment opportunities in a very easy way are presented on a regular and quality deal flow. And I think we have a very good community. And without Raimonds' efforts, it wouldn't be possible. But you will hear more about BADideas in the future, I believe. Now, let me share the screen. So let me know if you see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
All right, great. So I'm going to talk a little bit about me, and then tell you what is Roibox and how we help our customers. The timeline of events, it was a pretty rapid pace for us. We founded the company in 2020 and exited this year, so less than 3 years. Then I will tell you why we decided to go with an M&A instead of raising a new round. And I will also share some stats about our seed round experience that happened a year ago, because I remember when I was raising the seed round, I felt a little bit lonely, and it helped a lot when I talked with a few peer startup founders, and they shared their statistics, because it takes one yes to do the round and many no's, and when you hear a lot of no's, it's just psychologically you feel a bit better when you hear from other founders that it is actually a lot of no's before you hear one yes. All right, about me, I'm 35, I'm married, I have a daughter, I have 2 dogs, and I love gardening. So that's what I do during my free time. I have greenhouse, I grow vegetables, I have tomatoes, cucumbers, some herbs and salads. And I think it also trains to be more patient, because in order to grow something beautiful or harvest something, it takes many months or even years. And I'm not the most patient person, so it helps me. I also try to be active. I play squash, golf, ice hockey, and chess. I'm not particularly good at any of these sports, so if any of you want to challenge me for a match, let me know. Another maybe fun thing about me, I think I have a very regular Latvian name, but many foreigners found it hard to kind of write it correctly. I quite often get called like Kebabs, or a more exotic version, Jēkabs, and Jēkabs is a very typical mispronunciation. I always save these screenshots. I'm not upset. I find it funny, and one day probably I will do an exhibition of all the versions how to misspell my name. About the business part or business career of mine, I built the first successful business at the age of 16, and I thought that this is it. I'm really good at it, and I continue building different companies. So by the age of 21, I had failed 3 companies already. I had freshly graduated from university. I had a decent education, but I had no income, no job, and all my startups had failed, but I had a student loan. So I had to look for a job. And I think at that point, I learned a lot of incredible things when I started working as a project manager in a software development company. And if this would be about fuck up stories, then I had many to tell, but today is more about, some successful things. So I've built also some good companies and startups. One thing that I'm really proud of is Tweet Deleter. It's a micro SaaS business that I founded in 2011, many years ago, during Garage 48 hackathon. And for many years, we couldn't figure out how to make it into like a good business. We had no business model in place. A couple of years ago, we figured out how to do it, but it was always like a side hustle for all of us. We never had a full-time co-founder working on this idea. So we hit 1 million ARR without a single employee. And I think it's incredible. Right now, we do have a team in place, and we are working on some other projects as well. I was also the first employee of Eleving Group, which is a leasing company right now, also consumer loan company and mobility products they have. And I've also co-founder of Tabbox, which is a self-service solution company. We do hardware as well as software. And lately, together with my co-founders of Tweedeleater, we decided to build a startup studio that would eventually also write tickets and invest in some very early stage ideas. So we kind of call it a startup studio with a VC arm. That's BADideas.fund. Enough about this. Now about the Roibox. So the idea about Roibox was born when us co-founders were working in a fintech business, and we were operating in Balkan markets, and we had the problems with our scoring model. Scoring model is essential part of every lending company that is deciding which customers we are willing to lend money to. And in one of those countries, the model was not working properly. The predictive power was very weak, and we were searching for opportunities how to make it better. And then one day we decided to scrape Google and calculate distances between certain objects, meaning the home address of our customer and certain other places. And then we fed or ingested the data into our model and found out that the results improved a lot. We were actually very surprised after many years working in the industry to see that big impact. Simply speaking, we were able to detect the customer lifetime value based on location. So obviously, we wanted to then target those high lifetime value customers and advertise them more often and get them into our portfolio. That's where we encountered a couple of problems, because there was no scalable way how to do it in those advertising platforms that we used. And it was obvious that some kind of an additional tool needs to be built for that. At that time, it happens that we actually sold the business, and it was the beginning of the COVID when we decided that based on this notion, start Roibox. And Roibox is built on the idea that your clients are not everywhere, but your ads kind of are. You're trying to advertise everywhere. And the $1 million question is, where are those clients and how to target them, your ads more often? And that's what we try to help our customers. In order to do it, we needed to build a framework. Basically, we decided to split the whole world into exact squares. We call it grids. That would serve as a mechanism how to ingest data and how to work with data on many different layers. This actually sounds a lot more simple than it actually is, because the world is not flat. It's actually spherical, and it's a bit of a hassle to do it country by country. But we figured out how to do it, and that allows us to work with the data that are attributed to a certain grid or one of those squares. And since this mechanism is unified, we are able to work with multiple layers of data. For example, socioeconomic data like income, age, and education that we can get from the census or like local statistical bureaus. We can buy different data sets. We can work with the first-party data like the addresses of your customers or delivery addresses, and of course the platform data where you advertise. So we work with those data on multiple different levels, make different calculations, and then do something about it. This part usually or can look something like this, that we ingest a lot of historic performance data, enrich those data, and then find out different specific areas where your campaigns are doing very, very good, or where in fact there needs to be some kind of improvement. For example, for this client, they have spent close to €500,000 per year on 2,000 different items that didn't generate a single conversion. So not the best outcome. We are able to work on the data very like 3-dimensionally, as well as very kind of 2-dimensional and hyper granular. For example, in this case, we are measuring which parts of the city are performing better and what are the factors influencing that. And we are also able to reverse engineer your campaign performance versus the industry or versus your competitors, because the online advertising in most cases is an auction based. So we are able to divide the battlefield into smaller areas and see where you have lots of competition, where you have very few competitors or not at all, and where you can kind of move your troops of your digital advertising to win the battle or to win more often. And what happens next is that our mission is to allocate the marketing budget where it really matters. In the end, it means that we try to reduce the gap between those good areas and bad areas, and invest in one more and the other less. And the timeline of the events was following. As I said, we started building the first prototype at the beginning of COVID era, which was booming period for the e-commerce and different SaaS businesses. And that was the time when we started to quit our jobs, because we were still kind of working or being involved in the previous companies. So it was around half a year of this like very kind of scrappy period, and meeting online or in some cafes, or not meeting at all because it was COVID. And at I think it was September, we raised the angel round and turn this Roibox into something more serious, because this product requires many different expertise areas. We could cover some of them with our co-founding team, but we still needed extra resources, because in order to build something like Roibox, you need to understand data science, you need to understand the cartography and how to kind of analyze the data geospatial, when you have some kind of connection not only to an entry in some kind of a database, but also to certain place in the world. You need to build some kind of front end and back end, of course, and you also need advertising platforms know-how, because when you come up with the conclusion that this is the area where you're doing great, then you also need to understand how to advertise it more often, there from the Google ads or Meta or programmatic perspective, because that's what we really want to achieve. In 2022, we met with Black Sheep. So that's was when we were raising our seed round. We approached many local and further away VCs, and we are happy that we met with Black Sheep. There are only two VCs in Europe that are advertising technology oriented. They invest only there in that vertical. They helped us a lot with getting rid of unnecessary functionality. They helped us with like lots of introductions and messaging and identifying our unique selling points. And they also were the ones who, funny enough, introduced us to Jēkabs, which is our business partner and who acquired us right now. It was we started working with Jēkabs actually before we landed the seed round with Black Sheep, and it was thanks to them. And then a little bit less than 1 year forward, at the beginning of this year, we were invited by the top management of Jēkabs, who expressed this idea of doing the merger. And this year, July, we signed the documents of this transaction. Why we decided to go with this possibility? The general feeling was that by joining the forces, both companies will benefit from it. And of course, we thought about this from our perspective, and for that I have the next 3 slides. But the background story is following. Jēkabs was created as a loyalty program company. And only then they added their data science and advertising, verticals, and now is, full service marketing agency. They always paid a lot of attention to geography. They've developed their, they call it J-hexagon framework, that they were using before even Roibox was born. And after being introduced to Jēkabs from Black Sheep, it was just very natural that we were speaking the same language. We believed in the same vision how marketing should be organized, and we had different strengths and weaknesses. And just by combining them, it made a lot of sense to kind of move forward together. If we look only from our side, there are 3 main things that helped us to make the decision. Number 1 is that Jēkabs is a global company. They have around 3,000 employees and $500 million turnover. They have offices in many countries, and they already are working with many large enterprise level clients. And I don't want to complain that it is hard for young startups to get to those decision makers in large enterprises. But it really helps when you have a partner like Jēkabs that just help to get to those meeting rooms, and we are able to use our time working on the product and on our analytics than trying to enter those rooms. And essentially, as a startup, you cannot be good or great at everything. You have to focus on something. And this sales part was something that we were never really good at. And it was actually, I would say, like a good relief when this offer came, because we knew that we have an opportunity now to maybe focus less on our weaknesses, but focus on our strengths. Another thing was moving up the marketing funnel, because Roibox, until the acquisition, was more like a tool for Google search ads. That's where we had the most experience working with. That's where our technology is very strong. However, when we look at the global advertising, digital advertising spending, obviously Google Ads is one of the the biggest channels. However, it's not the only one. And when you have a partner that has experience and client base working for the whole funnel, you have this opportunity to use your technology for a wider purpose. And we always had this wider purpose, but again, because we are a small startup, we have to focus on something or start somewhere. And this led to this opportunity that we can actually think about a wider picture and use our technology for a wider services. And lastly, it was access to more data. So no surprise, when you work on a data science heavy products, the more data you have, the better is the outcome. And Jēkabs has a lot of historic data, They are also cooperating with Esri, which is the largest and the oldest cartography solution with a lot of interesting data sets. They're partners for many years, so we get access to all these good things that is a fuel for our data science department. That's is it about the decision why we decided to go with the merger. And then the last slide from my side, I promised the stats from our seed round that happened year in 2022. We approached many VCs. Obviously, we started with the local ones and the ones where we can get some introduction, and we knew that invest in this space, and we quickly started to kind of run out of them. So we went with the similarly as Bad Ideas with this kind of spray and pray approach. We thought, what bad can happen if we just increase the list of VCs that we talked to, and eventually we reached out to more than 200 of them. Obviously, we get many no responses, many no's, and until we found Black Sheep. And funny enough, Black Sheep was part of this further away perimeter. We just knew that they are focused on ad tech businesses, but we didn't have anyone to do an introduction with us. And yep, probably without Black Sheep, our product would be completely different, and probably we would never met with the Jēkabs and would have this exit. Thank you very much for listening. And yeah, I would like to finish with this quote from Peter Drucker that we like within our team, is that what gets measured gets improved. So if you need help with analyzing your campaigns on a very granular level, or if you would like to challenge me for a squash or chess game, let me know. Thank you very much. Artis and Raimonds, back to you.
Thanks, Jēkabs. Thanks for this keynote here. And yeah, Raimonds, I think you have prepared a couple of questions here, so we can just continue the discussion with Jēkabs. Would you want to take on some of those?
Gladly. So here goes nothing. Let's make it an interesting discussion. So some things I was thinking about, but wanted to ask you. Let's start with those and dive in. You mentioned with your partner that you merged with, you had lots of great synergies. Your visions are aligned. But tell us, in all honesty, what were the factors that led to deciding, okay, you want to sell the company, or like partner up with someone, share the cap table?
Oh, okay. It's a big question. I think, as with any kind of that type of a partnership, be it a VC round or be it a merger, I think it all goes down to the fact, do you humanly trust them? I think at least for us, it was the very important factor. And more than a year, we worked with them closely, and we had this feeling that although they are very large, enterprise, they have this like startup mindset, and we will not be, lost in translation or some kind of bureaucracy, and we will be able to work together. And as I pointed out in my presentation, I honestly, like our team, our co-founding team, we honestly believe their vision, how digital advertising should be organized, and their vision about geospatial data and being mindful from the location perspective where you invest your money, it just goes perfectly together with our vision. So it was rather easy decision. Of course, we
Okay.
did some simulations from the financial perspective, but I think you also know these, financial projection. Excel can, you can build anything in Excel, but you have to kind of follow where your heart is, I would say.
So what I read between the lines that just partnering together with someone who shares your vision, you are aligned with, you can have a bigger impact on the world.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah. So walk us through the whole process. How did it start? What were the most challenging moments for you personally running this merger process, and how did you navigate them?
Yes. Okay. So a bit of story, or like this how this whole thing happened. It was beginning of this year, was January. We were traveling to Milan for a meetup that was organized by Black Sheep, our investor, together with other portfolio companies that they had, and was like meetings with some potential clients, with some existing clients, etc. And then between those events, we got an invitation by the CEO of Jēkabs to go and discuss something with them. To be honest, it was a huge surprise for us, because we thought that we will be speaking about how we can cooperate better in the future, but we had no expectation that someone will offer us to this merger. And we had enough funding for another year, so we were in a rather kind of good position. When we got presented by this idea, it was like a surprise. What we did, we sat down with our co-founding team, and then we had an extended table together with our previous investors. For me personally, it was important to make the decision very, very quickly, because I knew that the more we drag it, the more it will, the more time we will waste. And when you are a founder and you get this kind of an opportunity, it's a bit of it's a distraction. It's like a positive distraction, but it still is a distraction, because you are responsible for many things. And I wanted to remove this distraction as soon as possible. So either we make a decision that we move forward with this, or we don't move forward with this. And if we move forward with this, it was important that we do it very, very quickly, meaning that we sign the term sheet as fast as possible, starts the due diligence process, because again, someone will need to go through this paperwork and prepare the materials, because we didn't have a data room in place. We had a data room and everything ready for 1 year ago when we did our seed round. So kind of fresh, but still a lot of things needed to be added there. So that was one perspective. I just wanted to move fast, not to lose time on thinking, is it a good or bad? And when we make a decision that this is good and we want to do it, then we just go 100% all in to kind of complete the transaction as soon as possible. And other than that, all the regular stuff in the very last minutes, some legal documents needed some updates. Some persons who needed to sign something were missing sometimes, and all the regular stuff. But I think it was very, very efficient, given the things that happened on parallel, given the fact that Jēkabs is pretty large organization, and yeah.
Let's open up the floor to discussions, and while people are thinking about good and hard questions to ask you, let's have a closing question to you. Well, how did it feel when you were signing on the dotted line, and now looking back in the whole process, what lessons have you drawn, and as extension tips you would give to other founders out there thinking about exit down the line?
Oh, yeah, big question. I think I don't have like a very entertaining answer to this. It's the same, all the things that you hear all the time. You know, ship the product to customer faster, find the right team to work together, and then everything will be fine. I always, you know, remember us founders, although we were rather good with, you know, shipping fast and also kind of showing to customer what we have built, but still we could have done it faster. I remember the first time when we showed what we have built to Black Sheep, and they immediately said, you have to talk with Jēkabs. This is perfect for them. This is what they need. Here is the introduction. Go speak with them. And when we were showing what we have built, we had this, yeah, it's like kind of something, but still a lot of things needs to be added. They were like, no, this is perfect. This is the killer app. Go speak with them like this is the killer app. So they gave this kind of just reminded us again, you know, go out there and speak with them as fast as possible. If you feel comfortable showing something to investor or client, it means that probably it's too late. Sorry for boring answer.